Well, there's the big boy. Hard at work. Hey boy. You want pellets, don't you? Yeah. Good everyone. It's Calvin here, Shedding Sheep New Zealand. And I thought I'd do an update on what's happening with my own flock. Give you a few ideas and show the progress that I've made since I've put Morty, my ram, out with my ewes. So I've got the ewes up by the house and I've been packing the grass into them. So I've got a few dirty back ends now. People will say, hey, you should drench them, but just because they've got a dirty back end doesn't mean they've got worms. There isn't always a strong correlation between dags and worms. He's had several rattle changes, and I did stuff up actually. I started with a blue marker, went to a green marker, then only one got done by the first blue marker. I went back to a yellow. I went back to a blue marker, and then I'm presently on a yellow marker. All right, we've got plenty of marks on ewes. So at this point in time, I've only got a few ewes that are not marked up. There are a few ewe lambs. One of the ewe lambs has been marked, which would be that one there. Actually, no, it isn't. It's that one there. So she's got definitely a positive mark on her, which is fantastic. And then this one here, that one there in the back is a maybe. When my ram has a bit of a jump on, he doesn't always mark them properly, or if the rattle's getting quite low. I probably should show the rattle that I'm using too. Miss Black here, so that is dot, no mark at all. So she's one of a few that haven't been marked. We got that one. We got this fat one here, one of the ones that I bought in. She's got a maybe on the back there, but I'm taking that as not being marked, as opposed to this one which has been marked. So I've got 87% of my ewes presently marked up. We've had 3 returns. We'll show you a return. So Granny did return. So she was marked up on the 15th of February. And she returned 17 days later. It was right on a rattle change. So if I go up to her, you can see that there's some green on there. So she just got done with the green and then she got plastered by the blue. And Morty really likes her. So he absolutely folds her up and wears my rattles out, which causes a real problem. And the rattles that I'm using are from Shoof. So I've got the harness and the rattle from Shoof. I've got 2 different ways that I will change the rattle. Sometimes I just grab him, I flip him over, and I do it while it's still fitted to him on his chest or on his brisket. Though he's so easy to work with, I can just flick his harness off in the paddock. He rubs me, makes me smell like a ram, and then I fit it back on. Both ways work, but he's kind of a unique ram in the fact that I can just do it in the paddock. I don't take pellets because he does get a little bit of aggressive if I do that. I've organised him to go down to my mate because a ram like that I can't trust with people, because if you handle him wrong, he will turn into an absolute pain in the backside, not in a literal sense. And so he's going down to Whangamomana to my mate, who I will teach very easily how to handle my ram so he doesn't hurt anyone, and Nathan knows exactly what to deal with him and knows how to sort out a ram if he does get nasty. But you can't hit him. Hit him will just get him fired up. You pretty much, I just yell at him and tell him off. There's generally swear words involved, and he just settles down and is a good boy. So I've been working really hard to get those early lambs, and ewes do actually produce more eggs as they go throughout their cycles. So the later cycles they tend to have more eggs. So I may have affected my lambing percentage by putting the ram out as early as I did. And there are days, of course, where he does really like those ewes, and he doesn't focus so much on the other ones. So even in a small flock like this, I sometimes wonder if more ram power to so the rams can spend more time focusing on each ewe may actually be an advantage for producing more lambs. This one here, and this one here are relatives. They're full sisters but from a different year. So this one here, that one there. So you can, if you look carefully, she's got blue and she's got green. And so she was serviced with the green rattle, and then he's come back and he's done her again because she has returned. That was one of my buy-ins. Pretty happy with her. So here's my ones that haven't been mated. This is a Glenbrae hogget. She had lambs. She had a single as a two-tooth, and it wasn't that late that she had it, and it was weaned reasonably early, so it was taken away quite a while ago, but she has not cycled, as you can see. She hasn't been marked. Miss Fatty here and Miss Fatty there. Those are both buy-ins, and they're well overweight. So it's interesting to see that the ewes, my two fattest ewes, also haven't cycled and haven't been marked up properly. Miss Woolly there, she was the only one with a yellow marker on it, and I put that yellow marker on about Tuesday. Today's Thursday, yes, 2 days ago. All my little two-tooths that I purchased from the Tikiwiti sale, they have been mated. Now if I get in and I look at a few particular cases, this one here, she failed to produce lambs as a two-tooth, and in fact the two other ewes that I've carried over that didn't cycle or didn't have lambs as two-tooths were later to cycle, and I was actually expecting them to cycle earlier, but it's possibly an indication that they're not as fertile because they didn't cycle early, and that's why they didn't get a lamb as a hogget. That one there, she actually was one of my wet dries. She had twins as a hogget, and she was very fortunate to be carried over. And then Miss Skinny Minnie behind her there. Skinny Minnie did just wean lambs. Skinny Minnie going through there, she managed to get a lamb pretty much as soon as she went back out with the ram, which is really interesting because she was still rearing lambs until a few days before I put her with the ram. That's one of the ones that hasn't got a lamb or hasn't been marked. She was the last one to lamb. She lambed in November, and she again had just weaned her lamb as she came out with the ram. Kind of hopeful that she does. I might be a little bit lenient on her. She is still more productive than the ones that didn't lamb last year. Now the weather is cooling off, even though it's a beautiful day today. I've harvested my pumpkins, and I've stopped setting chickens. My chickens aren't going clucky anymore, which is nice. And I'm just packing the feed into these ewes to try and get those last few in lamb. On a little bit of a side note, Miss Piggy, where's the rest of your piglets, miss? Has still got 12 piglets, and they're getting weaned this weekend, coming up to 6 weeks old. She's really had enough. I've got a ram lamb out with my ewe hoggets, and for those overseas, might get confused when I say ewe hoggets. They're actually ewe lambs, so they were born 2023, it's now 2024, so they're 6 to 8 month old ewe lambs, but Kiwis have our own definition of stuff and we call them hoggets. Though we don't if we put them to the works, they're still a lamb until they're over a year old like the rest of the world, when they become a hogget. I've put some fat ewes into the chiller. I had an afternoon with David Arvidsson, which was really exciting. I had a great day there. Now I'm constantly reading and trying to absorb more knowledge, and one of the things that I think I've done right is trying to aim for those early lambs. However, I'm wondering if I had have missed that February cycle and simply just put the ram out like I always used to at the 1st of March, whether I could have condensed that lambing even more. I ran the rams beside the fence to help the ewes cycle. That was good. I might have pulled back Morty too much on the old food, but hard call. Do I end up with a really fat ram? I don't want to. He wasn't skinny, so I don't think he was fed okay. And I checked him over. I checked him over and did the maintenance on him well before mating. So it was like 8 weeks beforehand. Checked he was up to spec and ready to go. I do wonder about having additional ram power even in a flock like this, because even I will have a day off sometimes from working, that is, and not really feel like doing much work, that is. And so having an extra ram on hand, or when one ram really likes a ewe and doesn't focus on the other. And that's something David said with regard to spending more money, or spending the same amount of money on more rams. And sometimes I think there is certainly merit in that, to have a little bit more ram power. I do see guys running 1 to 80 and higher, 1 to 125, and I've heard of guys going out even more than that and getting good results. But I still think that there is merit in having a few extra rams on hand through that peak, just like we do with the dairy grazers, and then tapering them off. Or I think a lot of people would benefit from putting a terminal ram at the end of the season, which is kind of what I'm doing by going back to a pure Wiltshire. There is a good chance that those late lambing ewes will be sold, and they'll make perfect lifestyle sheep, and they're still going to lamb in September if they get in lamb next month. So they're certainly not bad sheep, and it certainly is a way to improve my flock and improve what I'm doing with my sheep. Because basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the bottom 10% of my ewes off that don't perform on that particular trait, and it's almost regardless of other traits in most cases, but there might be a little bit of leniences in the case of a very young ewe. And if you look at 10%, and we look at my ewes, look at the number of ewes that I've got on lamb, well, if I had 400 ewes instead of 40, that would be 40 ewes that weren't in lamb, my whole flock. Or if you had 4,000 ewes, it would be 400 ewes that weren't in lamb. And when you start talking those numbers, it's starting to get up there to pretty big numbers of sheep. So I've got lots of footage over the last few weeks, and I was going to turn all that into a video, but I've decided to condense it down into one video, one update. So this is the 20th of March. The ram officially went out on the 15th of February. He got Granny first, the first day, but she has returned. He didn't do anything for about 5 days. I'm going to work out the start of my lambing date from about the 20th of February. There was one point there where when just after Granny returned, he didn't do anything for a week. He only got 2 ewes, and then it was absolutely party time for the weekend, and he painted some ewes up. It was fantastic. Okay, it's the 12th of March, and we've got 2/3 of the girls marked up now. Last week, between Monday and Thursday, there were only 2 ewes that were marked, and that was blue markers. And you'll see now another one there, that one there, that one there. Bit hard to see, but 2 down there. The old girl there, Granny, was actually already marked, But Granny did return at the beginning of last week, just in the change of rattle. So much so, he liked Granny so much, I think he used most of his rattle on Granny actually. And it's not surprising because she did cycle first on the 15th. That was the date I put the ram out. And then not much happened for about 5 days, and then it went nuts. So that was with the green markers. So I have moved them again. Good pasture. There's a little bit of clover. Oh, let's zoom out a bit. Hey. There. There's a bit of clover in here. You gotta be careful with too much clover, too much lucerne. And it's interesting to see some of the girls that are really fat that I brought in, they have not cycled yet. Not marked up. A couple of the late weaned ones, so Miss Fluffy back over there, she was weaned lambs late, and Rubber Lips, she weaned lambs late. They haven't been marked. Only one of the ewe lambs that is in here has been marked up. Oh, Miss Fatty Bum over here. See this one over here? That one? No marking. Well overweight. And this one's a little interesting one too. I kept you to do a video on the reference between dags and worms, because there isn't always a correlation. Anytime she's anywhere, anything green, she gets a dirty back end. But she doesn't have a definitive mark on her. And she didn't lamb last year, so I'm a little concerned whether she has actually been marked up. It might have been just at the very end of a rattle that she was marked, but it might have been Morty just trying his luck. Head down this way. This girl just super long tail. She'd just weaned her lamb. She pretty much she was the one that lambed in November. She's put on some condition in the last couple of weeks, which is nice. The udder's sort of settled down. She's only got a little bit of time to get marked up before she doesn't make the cut. This is another one. So this is one. She was a late born. No, she wasn't actually. She wasn't late born, that one. I've culled the late born one. But she's got those, maybe I've done something, maybe I haven't. It's more like the ram was just trying his luck and she didn't lamb. And that sort of reinforces that the ewes that do lamb as hoggets are generally more fertile throughout their lifetime. The little black one, she has now been properly marked. It's hard to see on her black wool, but there's definitely a mark there. And that's the ewe lamb that's been marked there, right there. And see that one there? That one's not going to get in lamb. That's my fence crawling weather. He still hasn't made it to my freezer, so he's going to be putting on extra weight. There's another one of my buy-ins. No proper marking on her, and there's another one at the back there. Well, that one not marked properly. So that one may again be one of those ones where he's had a try. But I'm really, really happy with the progress so far. Normally the ram would have only been out for 12 days, but he's been out for almost a month, and 3/4 of my ewes are marked up. And that does give me the ability, if I want to, get rid of any of those later conception ewes, which will still have lambs in September, that I can get them moved on. So what are my plans going forward? I'm going to run Morty, my big ram, until probably about Easter, around the end of March. And then I'm going to sub him out, and I'm going to bring Minty, my other ram, back in. Minty's been out on sabbatical at a mate's place, and my mate suggested that he wasn't going to get into the little ewe lambs, but they were really well grown ewe lambs, and rams being rams, he was going to service the whole lot. No, I'm pretty good. I got 3 cull ewes about to go to sausages.
Yeah, I got the old ewe that got mashed out as I put her in the sausages.
So even though these were full woolly, we've still got a bit of shedding around the head, and nice, beautiful, clean heads. But super strong wooled ewes. You know how you'll get those lambs in lamb too, eh?
Reckon he would?
Yeah, mate. That won't stop him. He won't care. If they cycle in the next 6-7 weeks, he'll get him a lamb.
No, come here.
Won't hurt, they're big enough.
Oh, yeah. One of them, she must be coming on heat, eh? You've already picked her out?
Yeah, she can't be far away. In the next few days, she'll be cycling.
Swollen,
Yep. So I got to go pick up Minty, bring him back, and I don't think he's going to be quite as easy to put a harness on as Morty, when I can just do Morty out in the paddock. Morty, he was a $2,300 ram when I purchased him, and he's kind of reached the end of his uses for me in my breeding program. So I'm going to give him on a loan to one of my mates. My mate is pretty good with the sheep, very good with his dogs. He's got pig dogs, and he knows how to handle a ram such as Morty. And whilst he's not nasty, they always have that potential, so I'm not going to give him away or sell him to someone who can't handle him. He's certainly not a normal type ram. And then Minty is going to sub in, and the leftovers or the extras, either the lambs will be sold or possibly the ewes will be sold as run with ram ewes. At this point in time, I've got 5 ewes left to be marked. That's not including the lambs. One of those ewes is the one that weaned a lamb at the end of February, and she's actually been hanging out with the ram a little bit, so I suspect she's going to be serviced in the next couple of days. And what's really interesting is it's been my low body condition score ewes that have been later to cycle or haven't cycled yet, and then my extremely fat condition score ewes, 2 of which are buy-ins and are well overweight. No history of if they've had lambs in the past, but they are presently unmarked. So with the ewes done, I'm going to pop Minty out for about a month. With Morty moved away, I'll pop my purebred Wiltshire Minty out for the next month, and then it's game over for the ewes. So trying to get a nice short mating period, especially if I sell off those late ones that are serviced by Minty. And then my ewe lambs have got a couple of ram lambs out with them at present, and I'm going to pull the pin on those 2 ram lambs at the end of April as well, to try and avoid those late lambs. So I hope showing what I'm doing is helping others or gets people thinking. If you think I've done something wrong or I could do something better, let me know. I'd like to hear your comments. And of course, if you've got this far, push the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. All right, talk to you later.